only watched them all.
There's a nice up-tempo start to Betting Weekly Tennis Live in association with Bet Rivers. I'm Rory Jiwani. With me is Tim Dennis. Apologies for being a bit late. I had some PC issues. I couldn't hear Tim on the other end, which wouldn't have made for a very good show if I couldn't hear what he was saying. But we managed to sort that out. And we're back with you, albeit a couple of minutes late. We have got in-play action to bring you from the Paris Masters. And we'll be looking forward to tomorrow's action in the French capital, plus the 3 WTA events in Chennai, Zhejiang, and Hong Kong. Tim, how are you doing, my friend?
Hi, Rory. Good to see you. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people might say that not being able to hear me is probably a good thing sometimes. But,
not at all.
Maybe had a bit of result there early on, but yeah, all good. Yeah, really enjoying this Paris tournament so far. I think I've just got Davidovich. Fokina's just about to wrap up this match, having lost the first set. He's going to take the second and third here to come through as the favourite. So a good start for him getting through. And yeah, really enjoyed it. We've got some sort of great matches coming up. Obviously, we've got a repeat of the Shanghai final with Vacherot and his cousin Rinderknech going head to head again, which most people didn't really see coming sort of a couple of months ago. But yeah, here we are. And yes, and obviously, I think Carlos Alcaraz, he starts off his tournament tonight. So, yeah, lots to look forward to. And obviously, the women's over there and the other side of the world too.
Absolutely. That match in running, as Tim said, Alejandro Davidovich Fokina up against Valentin Royer. Royer serving to stay in the match at 3-5. It's 30 all. Royer's actually just gone 40-30. He's $13. Davidovich Fokina minus $50. Paris, it's traditionally one of the quickest tournaments court speed wise. Is that the case this year?
No, absolutely not. They've completely switched it. I think Alcaraz mentioned when he was practicing before the tournament started, he said it's a lot slower than last year, and yeah, he's been proved right. It's a lot slower, higher bouncing, and I think Sean's actually been out there and he sort of said the same. I think from the sort of the eye test, the centre court looks to be the slowest of them all from what I can see, and that genuinely is the way at these tournaments. I mean, I watched a bit of Khachanov and Ethan Quinn last night, and then Khachanov got rid of him 6-1, 6-1 in really comfortable fashion. And yeah, the courts are high bouncing and grippy. So it's, yeah, certainly on the slow side. I mean, there's obviously a few sets here and there with tie breaks as you'd expect in any tournament. But yeah, I think you look at sort of Diallo Greek Sport today, there was no tie break in that match, which on a Paris hard court of old, I think you would have been looking at 7-6 for certainly one of the sets, if not both, in that kind of match. So yes, certainly on the slower side. Yeah, like we said, higher bouncing and looks to be sort of set up for Sinner Alcaraz as they sometimes have been doing lately.
Yeah, absolutely. Royer has held serve, so Davidovich Fokina needs to serve out for the match. He leads 5-4 in the decider. He is minus 33.35 to win. Royer plus 11.50. So that's the one match going on at the moment. When that finishes, it will be Ben Shelton up against Flavio Cobolli. Shelton even money. Cobolli is the minus 122 favourite. Now, if this had been a proper or like Paris indoors of the past, I suspect Shelton might have been quite a strong favourite with his serve, but with it playing slower, perhaps that's why Cobolli is the favourite.
Yeah, well, he wasn't last night. I think Cobolli, he opened up about plus 120 shots. Shelton's certainly favoured for this match. So the money's really come for Cobolli. I think you can see why. He obviously got rid of Mahak there fairly impressively for the second time in a fortnight. And I think these conditions, the way they're coming up, the slower the better for Cobolli. And I think Shelton still looks a little bit of a work in progress coming back from that shoulder injury that he sustained at the US Open. yeah, I can certainly see why the money's come for Cobolli. And yeah, I think he looks about the right price to me now. Whether you want to get involved at minus money, perhaps not. I think from a personal point of view, I actually backed him to win the first set in that match, hopefully with that sort of match under his belt already, and hopefully he can catch Shelton cold there. We'll see. But yeah, I think Cobolli looks the right favourite to me now anyway.
Okay, just a reminder, we want to get your thoughts and comments. We're also on social media at Because We Win. And if you like what you hear on our shows, you can sign up for our newsletter, get exclusive tips and the free Insider magazine. Sign up for free at www.bettingweeklystudios.com. Let's look at the women's tournaments. We're going to start in Hong Kong. And a massive gulf in the company these players have been keeping. Viktoria Morvayova plus $16 against Maya Joint minus $100. The spread is 7.5 games, total 16.5. Morvayova's ranked outside the world's top 500. She's been playing largely in ITF 35K events. She did win a tournament in China, in Luan to be exact, in August, whereas Joint is currently ranked 32 in the world. So she'll want to build on that to be sure of being seeded for her home slam in Melbourne in January. Morvayova dropped just one game against home wildcard Cody Wong Hong in round one. But this will be much tougher, as the odds suggest. I mean, Joint's one of the favourites for the tournament outright, Tim. This should be a fairly easy starter for her, you'd think.
Yeah, you'd imagine so. I was going to say, and I was generally sort of bow down to your knowledge in matches like this, when you seem to have a good record of when the players are so far in distance apart on sort of handicap bets and sort of 6-love and 6-1 sets. That seems to be a bit of a speciality of yours. So I was interested to get your thoughts here. But I mean, you look at the sort of the overs line there. I think it was, what was it, 16.5. So I think even if the match was 6-3, 6-2, you'd cash the overs there, which isn't what you'd normally cash in many over matches. So just goes to show you the golf and class and what she's up against Joint here. But yeah, I was intrigued to hear your thoughts on if you had any sort of lean sort of 6-love sets kind of bets in something like this.
Well, Hong Kong does play pretty quick. It certainly played quick last year. And it was playing quick early. I mean, Victoria Mboko won today. She served 19 aces in her win earlier today. She was actually made to work hard by the Australian Talia Gibson. And I suspect it might take a little while for Joint to adjust to the conditions, perhaps to adjust to the speed. So Morvayova said she only dropped one game in her opener. Might be able to get a few games on the board early on, but I think as soon as Joint gets into her stride, she'll make her class tell. That probably just Morvayova, she came through qualifying as well. So having a bit more experience on the courts would put me off going on for Joint on that sort of lopsided 6-love, 6-1 bets. Maybe, you could have a look at her second set Joint with the 6-love and the 6-1, but not one I'm altogether keen to get involved with there. We'll move on to Zhu Zhang, and I think Davidovich Fokina has actually won against Royer. So Davidovich Fokina is through in Paris. Yeah, let's look at Zhu Zhang. Sorry about that. Ella Seidel against Tamara Korpatsch. All German affair. Seidel minus 435. Korpatsch plus 310. Spreads 4.5 games, totals 19.5. Quite a big one for Betting Weekly WTA, as Seidel is Nigel's pick for the tournament. My selection, Lin Zhu, unfortunately retired injured against Alicia Parks today. One previous meeting which Korpatsch won, although that was on clay in Bastard in Sweden in July last year. Seidel's been in pretty good form of late, breaking into the world's top 100. Most of her wins have come in quicker conditions than this, however. And Korpatsch is an awkward opponent, even if she's not been playing especially well recently. And Zhu Zhang had some of the slowest courts on the tour last year, and that could help Korpatsch. Did you have any thoughts on this one, Tim?
Yeah, maybe a small leans, maybe, but nothing sort of too strong. I mean, Seidel was quite impressive against. I'm gonna absolutely butcher this poor French girl's name now, against Rajona Rotongoma, who I was actually quite impressed with. I think she won the tournament in, was it Mexico or Brazil early in the year?
She did win one, didn't she, from nowhere?
Yeah, I'll have to double check. I'll flick through it now, but I think it was in. No, I'll just double check. It was in Brazil. Yeah, Sao Paulo. Sorry, that was when she came from. I think she was 5-love down in the finals, second set off. I think to come through and win. And yeah, I've been quite impressed with her. A sort of tricky customer, left-hander. But yeah, I mean, Seidel took care of her fairly comfortably, 6-3, 6-4 in her first round game. So yeah, a good victory to her, and should certainly put her on the front foot here. Obviously, she's a strong favourite to be coming through this game, but as she probably should. And I think they've had the one head-to-head, these two, haven't she? Which she's got the better of. But I think that went 3 sets. So yeah, perhaps a lean tub. I mean, maybe you could be looking at over on the sets, because we know even the 2.5 sets plus 190 is probably, that would be my lean. I don't see any, even though she's a heavy minus 435 favourite. It wouldn't surprise me if it went all the way.
Yeah, I think this could be a tight one, as you say, and over 2.5 sets. That's pretty generous for over 2.5 sets, plus 190. So that could well be worth a play. We're going to now go to tomorrow's action in Paris, because this is the subject of Tim's daily double. And as you can see there, Felix Auger-Aliassime up against Alexandre Muller. Canadian, obviously a heavy favourite here, minus 450. Muller plus 300. I think there might have been a bit of money for Muller there, but the spread 3.5 games totals 20.5. Auger-Aliassime leads the head-to-head 2-1, but both those wins were on clay. And in their only previous meeting on hard court, which was in Shanghai just over a year ago, Muller came out on top. As obviously, as you said, Tim, a bit slower than we'd normally expect from Paris, these conditions. Muller did spring a surprise against Brandon Nakashima in round 1 yesterday. Auger-Aliassime came from behind to beat Francisco Comesaña. That was earlier today. He did retire against Jaume Munar in Basel, having won the Brussels title. Auger-Aliassime, quick turnaround for him. Is that a bit of a concern?
Yeah, that's the sort of angle I'm coming at this game in, really. I mean, like you said, he leads the head-to-head, but the one match on the hard courts, Muller actually got the better of that in Shanghai. And yeah, Felix has played a lot of tennis already. I mean, this month alone, I think he's played 12 matches, and obviously he retired from one of those against Munar over in Basel last week. So a little bit of a question mark on. Obviously, we know he's fairly durable, but as far as fitness levels go, I do think Muller's going to be have a lot more in the tank here. Felix, like you said, he had a long 3-set match today, whereas Muller played yesterday. So he's also going to have another sort of days to recover under his belt, which Felix doesn't get. And on the contrary, this is Muller's just his fifth match of the month. Sorry. And like I said, he's had today off. In his match yesterday against Nakajima, he was fairly impressive. 6-2, 7-5 winner. I think he won 71% of his points behind his first and second serve. So a fairly good strike rate there. And I just thought the bet for me, I think it's 3.5 there is plus money on the toggle for the games. But I just wanted to have a little bit more safer play on my mind. I wanted to go Muller plus 4.5 games was minus 150. And I thought that's where I probably wanted to go. I think we've had quite a few of these daily doubles up where we've sort of got one winner. And obviously in a double, that's no use to anyone whatsoever. So I've just tried to sort of switch angle of attack here, just maybe a slightly shorter price and try and get 2 tied together. So a little bit on the safe side. But yeah, I think Muller plus 4.5 games at, I think, minus 150. If you just move that toggle across is where I wanted to go here with Bet Rivers. So yeah, I think that freshness side, and Felix playing a lot of tennis, I mean, I think we saw a lot of retirements last week in Vienna and Basel. Obviously, you're going to need players to complete these matches, otherwise they'll be voided. Sometimes you might get lucky, and your player might come unstuck and be injured, and you'll end up getting your money back. But let's hope that's not the case here, because Muller plus 4.5 games is where I wanted to go, just on that fitness angle.
Okay, so that's the first part of the daily double. The second, well, features, as you mentioned right at the top, Tim, the two cousins, one of the feel-good stories of the year in Shanghai. These two, Arthur Rinderknech and Valentin Vacherot, met in the final in Shanghai, and Vacherot became the lowest-ranked player in history to win a Masters title. And he's the favourite here, minus 150. Rinderknech is plus 120. The spread's 2.5 games, totals pretty high, 23.5. Vacherot is proving that Shanghai win wasn't a fluke. He did run Taylor Fritz quite close the other day, and he demolished Yuri Lehechka earlier today. Rinderknech came from 3-love down in the opening set to beat Fabian Marozsan in 2 tie breaks. What do you think of this one, Tim? Vacherot, maybe he's a little short, because I'm sure he would have been the outsider when they met in Shanghai.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I think he was the outsider in every match he played in Shanghai, and I think not for the first time that week. He actually ended up losing that first set. But obviously they've only met once, and he was the winner in that time, losing the first set. It was a commanding winner though in the end. I think he led the service points one, return points one, totals 112 to 88 in that match, and that's after losing the first set. So yeah, I'm very impressed with Vacherot. I mean, I think you look at that game in Shanghai, obviously his older cousin, he probably very respectful of him, and perhaps he was obviously nervous in that final. Came out, lost the first set, which was probably a fairly obvious thing to happen, as it had done all week. But like you said, ran Taylor Fritz really close there last week, was excellent against Lehechka today. And I think conditions are going to play a big part here. I think they're really going to suit him, that sort of slower, high bouncing kind of style that he likes to play. Like I said, he was impressive against Lehechka, 6-1, 6-3, didn't face a break point in that match. I think he won 83% of points on his first serve, and a huge 80% of points on his second serve. So, and breaking the Lehechka serve 4 times, and that kind of tells you a little bit about the conditions. Lehechka normally big server, tough to break, and yeah, got rid of that serve 4 times. Rinderknech, perhaps somewhat fortunate to come through in straight sets. It was dead level on the service points one, return points one with Marozsan there yesterday. I think, like you said, Marozsan led 3-0. He led 5-2 as well in that set. Serve for the match at 5. Serve for the set, sorry, at 5-4. Typical style of Marozsan, couldn't take it. I think he led 5-3 in the tiebreak. Couldn't take that, and the kind of writing was on the wall, and Rinderknech came through. I haven't seen the order of play yet tomorrow. I don't think they've done it yet, but you'd be fairly confident this will be on the centre court. Obviously, Rinderknech being a French player, and Vacherot, obviously Monegasque, and a feel-good story. But the way I wanted to get here with Vacherot in some way, really. I think minus 1.5 game handicap. I think he was minus 110. I saw earlier. I'm fairly sure that's still there. So again, the 2.5 minus 150. That must have moved that line then, because I did see minus 110 at 1.5 game handicap there earlier. So I just had to double check that. But yeah, I'd still be reasonably happy with the 2.5 and sticking it in at minus 150, the same price as the other bet we've had earlier on. So I just think he's got that game under his belt. He seems to be the one going forward at this time, if you like, and I just thought he'd cover that handicap.
So you're going to go for Vacherot plus 2.5. Sorry, beg your pardon. Vacherot minus 2.5. No, sorry. let's get that bet again, because it has. You're saying the line has changed. So Rinderknech, who are you getting?
Yeah, I'll just go back and double check on my system now. But when I saw it earlier, it was Vacherot was favourite to win the game, and then he was giving up. He was giving up a 1.5 game handicap at minus 110. But I'll just go check.
Okay, from our producer, minus 125 for minus 1.5.
Okay, yeah, that obviously it's moved a little bit there from the -110, but yeah, -125 for the 1.5 games. I think that's the way I want to go here. I think he'll cover that, as that would have been a winner in the game in Shanghai, and I can only see him improving from that Shanghai effort here. So yeah, I'm fairly confident on that -1.5 games.
So there we go. So the daily double is run through Alexandre Muller plus 4.5 games against Felix Auger-Aliassime. That is -150. And then Valentin Vacherot -1.5 games against Artur Rinderknech. That is -125. So the double is a nice even +200. So that's the daily double for Tim. And best of luck with that. Fingers crossed if you're getting involved. Just saw a comment up there from A. Thanks for your contribution. Crazy shocks in the morning. I wish I'd backed against Lee, Lammons and Kenin in a parlay. I mean, it's this time of the year. You do get some odd results. Obviously, Anne Lee won the tournament at the weekend, top seed and favourite for this tournament this week, and dumped out in the first round in a massive shock. And Sophia Kenin as well, big shock on the wrong end of that. And, Tim, it's just, I mean, you've talked about, it's a difficult time of year because it's the end of the season. I know in Chennai they haven't played yet because it's been a couple of washouts, and it's going to be hot and humid there as well. And we're seeing a lot of retirements as well. So it's a bit of a tricky time to be getting involved, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's like that Lammons as well. I think she was about 1 to 20 perks. So what's that, minus 20,000 was she, Lammons, this morning, I think?
Yeah, maybe minus 5,000 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, big shocks. But like we say, Kenin went a long way last week, didn't she? Lost in the semi-final. And that just goes to show you that obviously Bencic, she's got the sort of ability to come through there in straight sets. As you'd expect her to, but you've still got to go and do it, haven't you? And clearly players like Lammons and Lee and Kenin weren't able to. So credit for Bencic for doing that, and obviously Fernandez getting through. So a couple of the big players in that group, obviously Mboko the same. So yes, still got some big names in that tournament. So something to look forward to going forward for that tournament. I think with those sort of star names still in.
Absolutely. Let's look at our final tournament, which is in Chennai. And as I mentioned, we've had a couple of days washed out there. So there's going to be a lot of fixture congestion, a lot of matches to be played. Kimberly Birrell against Nikola Bartunkova. This is a really big match for us at Betting Weekly WTA because Nigel has selected Birrell outright and I've gone for Bartunkova. They're in the weakest quarter of the draw. So
we had a pint on the winner of the game, Rory.
Yeah, we could
little side bet between the two of you.
Yeah, absolutely, we could do. But yeah, whoever wins this match really should go deep in the tournament. You've got a couple of Indian wildcards in that section. Needleman, will they finish Chennai? Yeah, well, they're going to have to play. I think the weather's pretty good for the rest of the week, so there might be sort of players playing, 2 matches in a day. You might have a bit of that, and obviously hot and humid conditions this time of the year could be a high attrition rate. It's going to be a real test for whoever comes through this. But Birrell Bartunkova, yeah, weak quarter of the draw. They were both $33 a piece. Probably still that price because we haven't had any tennis yet in the main draw. And we both thought the odds for both of them looked pretty generous. But Birrell's -122. Bartunkova -103. The spread's half a game, totals 21.5. Birrell surprised Marie Balskova in Tokyo before falling to Katie Boulter. That said, her form has dropped off quite considerably. She made quite a bright start to the season, but hasn't sustained it. Bartunkova had a great month or so. She reached the semi-finals in Guadalajara, then the final of the Challenger in Samsun, Turkey, but then suffered a first-round exit in Tokyo to home player Wakana Sonobe, the junior Australian Open champion. And I actually backed Bartunkova for that match, made that selection on Betting Weekly WTA, because Bartunkova appears to have quite a weakness against left-handers. Birrell is a right-hander, so no problems there. I've already played Bartunkova on the outrights, so I'm not going to get involved here. The bookies think it's close. Bet Rivers think it's close. I agree with that. I mean, what do you think of this one, Tim?
Yeah, I agree with the market there. I assume that Birrell's favourite probably because of that victory over Bauskova. Would you think that probably playing a little bit of a part in a penultimate match, even though she went down to Katie Boulter in her previous match? So I think perhaps she's probably just got a little bit of experience on her side, and that's why she's edging favouritism. But obviously, a tight match in store and bragging rights for one of you two going forward anyway.
It certainly is. And one more match to look at. And it's interesting because Nigel flagged this up on Sunday. Lanlana Tararudee, the Thai player, she's +112. Maria Timofeeva -139. Spreads 1.5 games, totals 21.5. Now, these two met in an ITF 100,000 event in Portugal in July, and Timofeeva won 6-2, 6-2. She was playing for Russia for quite a long time, but she's just started representing Uzbekistan. You might remember her. She won the Hamburg title on clay in July 2023. Came from absolutely nowhere to win that. She hasn't done that much since either. Tararudee looked quite promising late last year, but hasn't built on that. But Nigel flagged this up on Sunday. There had already been money for Timofeeva before Sunday. There's been more money for her. She was -125 on Sunday. She's now -139. And Nigel made a really good point that this time of the year, in tournaments where, let's be diplomatic, the quality isn't the highest, money for a player has to be respected. And, you know, we haven't really had a chance to see how quick conditions are. And Timofeeva winning that tour title on clay, you'd suggest she'd want it slow. But money does speak volumes in tournaments like this, doesn't it? Don't they, Tim?
Yeah, especially this time of year, absolutely. And I mean, I think you can probably forgive her her last match when she lost. She obviously won the title there in Portugal, and then a couple of days later switched countries to go play in Italy, and then lost her first match there. But I think you could forgive her that because she obviously played 5 games to win the title there. So yeah, you can see why she's favourite, and you can actually see why the money's come for her. Whether there's something more underlining in that, I guess only time will tell. But I think you'd be a brave person to go against money moves like that at this kind of level at this time of year.
Yeah, just to sort of clarify, so it was another tournament in Portugal that Timofeeva won a few days ago. She won the final on the 19th, and but then she lost in the opening match in Italy. It was a challenger actually in Rovereto. She lost to Tyra Katerina Grant. But as you say, quick turnaround. You can definitely forgive her that. And Tararudee hasn't been in great form of late. Lost to Katie Volinets. She did give Volinets a bit of a match in Guangzhou. That was in qualification in Guangzhou. Volinets, who was the top seed in qualification, coming through 6-4 in the third. But yeah, the money for Timofeeva and that good recent form making her an ever stronger favourite. So that is it as far as matches are concerned. Let's just see. They might have got started. Ben Shelton against Flavio Cobolli. Not quite yet. Oh, they have actually. Cobolli has just won the first match of the first point of the match. He's serving 15-love to the Italian. He is -141. Shelton +114. Spread 1.5 games. Totals 23.5. I mean, that totals does seem very high, doesn't it? I mean, if you're saying that it's not playing as quickly as Paris normally does, 23.5 games is a really high totals number.
Yeah, I think you're probably going to be looking at it going 3 sets if you're looking at totals there. And obviously, as far as value for money goes, if you are looking at overs, I think you're better off backing the bigger price at the over 2.5 sets and just hoping you get a set each and it goes the distance. Because yeah, looking at sort of 23.5, they've been few and far between these tightly congested sets so far. So certainly on the conditions, and they're not on centre court, these two. So maybe it's slightly faster, but very little in it, I think. So certainly on the slow side. And if you are settling down to watch that tonight, you can see that for yourself.
Absolutely. Of course, you can bet in play and live stream all of these matches with Bet Rivers. Cobolli is 40 love, and he's just held serve to love in that opening game. He's -159, Shelton +128. Tim, let's just run through your daily double last time. 2 matches on the screen.
Yeah, we're going to go for Vacherot on the game handicap, giving up the -1.5 games. And I think it's -125. And we're going to tie that in with Alexandre and Muller getting a 4.5 game head start at -150. And I think the double pays +200. So hopefully we can get those slightly shorter prices there today, but hopefully try and get the 2 tied in so we can land that double.
Yeah, $2 is the daily double, and hopefully we can get that one over the line. Tim, thank you for your company as always, and thank you for tuning in. And tomorrow there'll be more Betting Weekly Tennis Live, see more in-play action from the Paris Masters, and looking ahead to matches on those 3 WTA 250 events in Asia. Thanks again for your company, and we'll see you soon again on Betting Weekly Tennis Live.